Suddenly, I find myself trying too hard to be perfect. So we're going to nip that in the bud and just press record. Something I've observed on the internet is that everyone seems to want to be a teacher, but few want to be a student. I have found myself doing this, wanting to teach someone, wanting to have knowledge to share that might benefit someone else. And instead of humbling myself to the position and the posture of being a student, I try to be a teacher, even though sometimes I feel so inexperienced. And this is a tension I feel a lot because I don't want to discount myself just because of my inexperience. I don't want to discredit myself or downplay my voice and what I have to say just because of my age, just because I haven't lived a lot of life yet. But at the same time, I want to be honest with myself about my inexperience and know that there are so many people that know more than me, that have had more experiences than I've had, that have just lived more life and learned so much more than I have. So that's this tension I'm always finding myself in. Is like, I feel like sometimes I do have something to say, something valuable to say and to share. But then sometimes I feel like such a novice, so inexperienced, and like maybe I just shouldn't. Maybe I just shouldn't say what I want to say. Recently, I've just been more honest with myself about the fact that I am a student of life, and I really don't know that much. I know some things, and I do think sometimes I have something valuable to say. Just because I'm young and a little wet behind the ears doesn't mean that I don't carry some level of wisdom or some knowledge to share with other people. But I've just been humbled this past year and realizing that I just don't know everything. And I'm just figuring it out just like everyone else. And I think that's also something I've been learning is that even teachers are still students. What did I write? I wrote something earlier that I'd like to read. A good teacher recognizes his permanent position as a student. He knows there's always more knowledge to uncover, more wisdom to develop, more information to attain. He sees eternal curiosity as his nature, understanding that there's always mystery, always questions, and one answer always begets another question like an infinite loop. A good teacher, a good student, is humble. He sees where he lacks, but where he sees lack, he sees opportunity, an empty well to fill. He asks questions and seeks answers. He forms his own perspective and sees life through his own lens and always knows there's more unknown than there is known. So I think that's something I'm taking away from the last year or so is just humility, humbling myself instead of trying to be a teacher and be all knowledgeable about this or that, just humbling myself again to the posture of a student, of someone who is curious and is always learning, always growing. And I think you see it a lot online where people sort of adopt this posture of being a teacher because first off, you do have a lot of people online who have knowledge, wisdom, experience, and they do have something to say and they do have something to share. And some of these teachers make a living sharing the things that they're sharing, writing books and doing podcasts. So that's a beautiful part about being a teacher is you can make a living from it. People make money for their expertise. They get paid for their expertise and their knowledge. But I think there are some that fall into this category where maybe they're more of a student, but they're trying to be the teacher too soon. because I think it's easy to see what the teachers can do with their level of knowledge and expertise. It's interesting to see them make careers for themselves, make a living, even just sharing things online just because of their knowledge. And I think people chase that and want that. I think I've been that person in the past where I felt like I needed to be sort of like a teacher, where I was sharing knowledge and teaching people something, like sharing a YouTube video that kind of teaches someone something, maybe about themselves. But I've just been recognizing my position as a student and being okay with the fact that I am a student and I always will be. And admitting to myself that I don't have everything figured out and I don't have to have everything figured out. And you're always learning more. There's always more. There's always more questions. Every answer begets another question, begets another answer, and so on and so forth. Even if you do have knowledge, expertise, wisdom, always remembering that you are a student of life and going about your life from that posture and that place of knowing that there's always more unknown than there is known. I will always be curious about things and the way things work, and I will always be asking questions. And I think I just wanted to put that out there because for so long I felt like I had to just be further along than I am, have more knowledge, have more expertise, build a brand, share my knowledge and make money from it, following the same frameworks that I see other people follow to get to success, whatever that success may be. But I think it's refreshing when you can admit to yourself that you're still a student and you always will be. It's humbling, but it's so refreshing. And I hope if you've ever felt pressure from other people or from yourself to be further along than you are, to have a certain level of knowledge or experience under your belt, to be more of the teacher, just know that it's okay to be the student and you always will be the student. And I think it's just liberating to admit that, at least for me, at least for myself, because I have always been the one to put too much pressure on myself to be further along, to have this thing figured out. But there's so much that I don't know. And I'm okay with that. I love something my dad always says, and he's in his 60s now, and he always says, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. He's always making that comment, and it's kind of in a joking way, but it also feels very serious because he's that kind of person where he's always learning more and always seeking that knowledge, seeking answers to questions. And I think that's something I admire, is just the hunger to keep figuring things out and keep learning. I don't know what I want to be when I grow up or what I want to do, but always knowing there's more. There's more depth to you. There's more heights that you can reach. There's more you can experience. There's more knowledge you can gain. There's more things you can do. And it never ends. I just want to hold on to that hunger for myself. Always being curious and always being open to hearing from those more experienced than me. I want to be forever a student of this life, of this world, of creativity, of writing, of poetry. I will never have it all figured out. And no one ever will. We're all just figuring things out and finding answers together. No one knows everything. Only God. Only God knows everything. And how refreshing it is to admit that. I feel like a weight has been lifted. Going into the new year, going into the next 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years of my life, so on and so forth, I will forever be a student. And you will too. This was a little bit messy. This was a little bit haphazard. I've never pretended to be the world's best speaker, though. I don't have it all figured out. I'm figuring it out. And I'm talking and sharing because maybe someone out there understands. And maybe you've been needing to hear this. And I hope this was helpful. I bid you adieu.